technology and AI as well. So Andoria AI is a startup company um, with the goal, with the goal global global workforce reinforcement. Now, what that means is, come 2027, exactly 2 years from now, we want to be able to say we have from about 100 to 2,000 very, very well talented, skillful, technological elites, okay? And what that means is, come that time, we'll be able to bid for contracts everywhere around the world, okay? You know, and we want to position Nigeria and the talent, the plentiful talent in Nigeria at a global stage, okay? So that's what Andoria AI is going to do in the next 2 years. To get us there, we have a strategy. We're going to introduce some sophisticated poorly with the aim to learn. You are trying your best, paying attention to feedback and actively working to improve. If I can't fill up 1.3 million or 4 million jobs, we don't think about Nigeria. You know, we don't even think, we don't cast our search anywhere Africa. And this is, if you like, you get that in your DM. You just pick one area, you know. You just pick one area, you know. Maybe you can't be bothered with programming or any of this technological stuff, but you are a leader and you're a good communicator. You stand a good chance. So pick one area, begin with the suggested links, find good people to work with and collaborate with. As a company, we're also going to roll out an internship program where we will create a project, a small project, and very self-motivated folks can come on board to practice their skills. And you just have to attend more events like this where technology is being discussed. Okay? 2 more, I think. Be determined by degrees alone, but by skills, adaptability. Okay, I'm a Java developer, but we want a C# developer. You plug in and crack on, and the ability to apply technology to create value. It's not knowing it for knowing sake, but knowing it to create value. And with a collaborative effort from government, educators, I don't know about that, okay? But with determination, okay, that's the rare commodity. Even if government, educators, and whoever, it's not how much that you're given, it's what you do with the one that you have. And you have time and brain. That's nearly just enough to get yourself staged. And with that, my friends, that's the end of the first presentation.
Thank you, everyone. Just a show of hands if the information that you just got was helpful to you. Awesome. So we're going to go into some Q&A, and I have a few questions for Andrew, but we'll open it up to our attendees as well. Can we get some of the ushers' help with moving these chairs to the front of the room, please? Okay, thank you. So first question, I think for most people in this room, before we even start talking about terms like DevOps engineer and all these other big words you threw at us, what is AI? Can you share that with people?
Okay. Show of hands, you know what AI is, or at least... Yeah? Okay, just a few hands. Right. So AI is artificial intelligence, okay? What does that really mean? Is it ChatGPT? Is it, asking ChatGPT questions and getting answers? Okay, that's an expression of AI. But that's not really the entirety of AI. But AI is what makes all of that. When you think about ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or any application that you can use to create generative content, AI is what makes that possible. Now, the way I like to describe AI is, think about a box. like a delivery package you get from, you know, and think about everything that the world has ever known or created from the beginning of time. Yeah? And think about it as wide as you can, whether it's aircraft, spacecraft, witchcraft, excuse me. But think wide, yeah? Think about the human mind, think about the human body, think about the anatomy, the biology, think about everything that has ever been known or created, yeah? Wrapped, modeled into that box, yeah? You have this big, massive box that contains all knowledge that has ever been known. What would make that possible is what AI is, yeah? Because now, through an interface, you can ask questions to that global repository of knowledge. And that repository of knowledge also has computing capacity to process what you've asked in human language, relay it back to the model, and it would search everything that has been known or discovered or written, and it would return answers back to you. That's AI.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question is about AI's capacity to be self-aware or sentient or to feel. Can you share a little bit more about that, and do you think that AI can become self-aware?
Who thinks AI can feel emotions? The hands are half, you know, I don't know if I should. Okay. I mean, if something can talk back to you, yeah, it gives you the impression that it can feel. You know, you ask Siri, you know, I'm having a bad day. Siri would say, oh, sorry about that. So it feels like it can feel the same way that you feel. But no, it cannot feel. Okay, there are some things that are innate to humanity that can never be replaced. Yeah? Awareness, consciousness, feeling. Now, but why do we get the illusion, you know, that it can? Now, AI is only a model of knowledge. Okay? So the fact that I say, oh, sorry, I feel your pain, does it mean that I feel your pain? Or I just know how to talk? Yeah? And that's where AI is at today, the 18th of September. I don't know about tomorrow. But the fact that it can, you know, reflect back emotion does not mean it can feel emotion. It takes, you know, a complex human anatomy to feel emotion. And when understanding, we're not there yet in understanding it. If there are any doctors here, they can prove me wrong. But we're not there yet in understanding the complexity of how to feel, let alone, you know, model that into technology. So no, it doesn't yet have a mind of its own. And maybe you wouldn't.
Thank you for that confirmation. One more question before I open it up is I want to bring the conversation back to our reality as a country, as a community, and how AI can be applicable in advancement, but also in supporting the development of the country. And one of the critical areas, infrastructural areas, is healthcare. Can you talk a little bit about the impact that you can see AI having in transforming our healthcare system?
So let me say one thing very important about AI that's almost often overlooked. AI, think about AI also as a democratization of knowledge, where you would have had to pay thousands of pounds, you know, naira, whatever, to learn. Now, you just have to wish to learn, and you have the information. Now, the real benefit of that is what we now do with information, okay? So it's not now knowing. Knowing used to be the problem, but now we can know. But what do we do with the knowledge? And that's where we see value. Now, within Andoria, we're creating an application. When it's ready, we'll get folks, we want to hit 1 million in 2 years. If we have 1 million members on this app, it's going to work like Instagram, like, you know, LinkedIn. But the goal of that is you can voice your opinions, you know, where it really matters. And we can take all of that opinion, those sentiments, put that into a predictive algorithm, yeah, and that can almost determine where, say, as a politician, I now know where the public is at in what they're thinking, so that I know if I have a chance to win an election or not. That app in 2 years' time will be able to, one, give politicians and policymakers insightful data, actionable data, one. Two, we want to be able to predict the general election. Now, that's one way we can use AI to reshape society as we know it now. Healthcare is very important. But before AI can help with healthcare, we need to collect data, okay? So we need to build systems that can create or collect and process human data so that we can create some predictive analytics. Then we can start to predict things like, you know, the likelihood of someone catching a disease, and we can prevent it. You know, the likelihood of disease spreading so that we can prevent it. Now, what will become the future of that is, there's a concept that I'm going to talk about in the second presentation, so don't go away. It's called digital twins. Okay, anybody heard about digital twins? Thank you. Now, digital twins in simple terms is, Andrew, I'm here, but if enough data has been collected about me and my internal organs, you know, all the Fitbits that you wear that measures heart rate and whatnot, it means that we can create a digital copy of you. Say that again? It has, maybe within labs, but it's coming out in the open, and I'll show you some videos. So a digital copy, not a clone, yeah? You know, not a physical human being that would jump out, you know, and there'll be two Andrews running around. No, not that. It's just a digital conceptual model. Now, if there's going to be a drug trial, yeah, it will be first trialed with that simulated version of the physical entity. And you can then see how, you know, the person would react to medication before it's now administered to the real individual. And that's where AI will start to show a lot more of its value.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up for a few questions. Just raise your hands, please, if you have a question, and I'll ask one of the ushers to help us with getting those.
I count it privilege to be here. Thank you, brother Andrew. Let me take it off from where you stop, sir. Yeah. If there is a creation of AI of you, and then a drug is produced, and then we use the other one to test it before administering to human beings. Yeah. AI doesn't have blood as I am. Yeah. How do you think that such experiment will be very, very good for human beings? Because the other one is technologically produced, yeah, and we human beings, we have blood. Yeah. How are we going to depend efficiently, yeah, on this artificial and because of our nature as human beings? Yes. All right, that is not my question, just because you're saying. Let me ask my question. Opinion number one, sir. I am advocating writing, I see myself writing, I'm not writing some other things. I think I speak for every one of us here. All right, you give me money at the end. So, sir, on a more serious note, AI is so wide. I watched a documentary from AIT. One of the reporters in South Korea now. They showed a documentary on how they're using AI to monitor irrigation system. I was so surprised. But here in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, 9 men keep telling you there's going to be erosion. People should have been going to be flooded. Year in, year out, no solution. I want to ask you, are you making any effort to collaborate with our government here? Yes. Because every year, I don't know if you have had the same flood in local flood, even more is coming. Yet it has become a music here, sir. But no solution. What fear me more than what the one we talk about India, where you call for such a thing, 500 people a stadium will be filled up. Is it that we start from our primary school level or secondary school level? And there is a missing link in our government operation here and what we're having over there. Thank you.
You know what I call that? In social engineering, I call that engagement. Yeah? That gentleman was engaged, and I'm glad. Okay, let's take it one after the other. We try it out in the lab, it works. Does it mean it's going to work in real life? Okay, but would it be better we didn't even try it at all? And the first time we test the medicine is on a live human. You know, they say positive thinking positive thinking won't do the operation if you need an operation. But would you prefer negative thinking? You know, so as much as there is still a risk, it's not perfect, but we have to manage that risk, and technology helps us even do it better. Okay, the real question he asked, there is definitely a missing link everywhere in the world. In the UK, mathematics, the performance in mathematics has dropped very, very low. Okay. But because of all of these events that we'll be doing, we hope that we will create that, awareness and that consciousness. Also because the world is now interconnected. If the skill is not available elsewhere, maybe it would be available here. Now, if you cannot compete technologically in this current AI age that we're going in, the ramifications are terrible. Okay. Now, who do we hold responsible? I would go back to the individual. Okay, because I know for sure, no matter how much you put in, especially in a country like this, who would you invest the money in and it would trickle down? No way. But the change can start with the individual. All you need, like I said, is time and a laptop. Yeah? That will get you to a point where you're visible without any help. When you get to that point of visibility, you attract, from within and from without. And then when you start to show the example of change, sometimes people would only learn from what they see in the next person. So I have to start with an event like this. Do it a few times. Someone here would listen and take me somewhere else where the crowd is even much bigger. You have so many more people that can make decisions and make things happen. But it has to begin somewhere. It has to start, and I think it has to start from the individual. No one has asked me to do this, but I'm making something start. And I don't want it to end with me. We have to continue if we want to stay competitive.
Thank you. There's a question back there.
Thank you so much, sir, for this beautiful presentation. I want to ask let me not do some about time. I remember when I was in school then, in my institution, I was taught Python. Okay. And the concept of being a professional. And I was taught Python then, and it was as if just to pass and go. It's now, I am now realizing these things are important. Assuming I was pushed, maybe our teacher and lecturers pushed us into the knowledge of these things in total, I might have delved into it. But it's like pass and go. Now, I realize among the 10 commanding skill sets you mentioned, it's part of them. Yeah. Now, many of them are like that. Now, my question is, how can I as a person be graced to have this knowledge, not just by book, but in practical? Yeah. Out of the, probably you said, just choose one of these skill sets and run with it. So, but how can I have access to this practical knowledge so that I too can be a beneficiary of this and also help others in years to come?
So simple. Just follow, do that one, take that one step. Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing to even do. Just follow our page at Andoria AI. And like that gentleman asked, I'll send you all of these materials with even, helpful guide. That 2 years, if you want to do 2 years plan, 1 year plan. I'll provide that to you for free. It would now be up to you, if you're going to follow through.
I have one question in the front. Yes, right here, gentlemen.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Lawrence Oguche. I am the Principal Private Secretary to the Deputy Governor of Benue State. And it is interesting that, Andrew will send me this invite because I've been in international development for about 26 years and crossed over to government about 2 years ago with the ascension of, the transition to Reverend Father Hyacinth Yaminalia, who is the governor of Benue State. Why I find this interesting is that about a year ago, I was the secretary of the committee that set up the Benue Digital Infrastructure Company, which is a drive by Reverend Father Alia to have Benue State generate about 100,000 tech skills in about 2 years.
We can drive that.
Yeah, and they moved also to want to train about 40,000 civil servants, and currently we've created about 10 platforms that's trying to move the government towards paperless activities and transactions. And it is very, very interesting to understand, following his his statement, that the real deal here is really leadership. We have to move to a stage whereby we can have leaders that do understand what's going on globally. We got lucky for the time being, and we're pushing everything, to move forward with that. And I think the thing to do is to ensure that the populace themselves understand what's going on and try to drive their leadership and push their leadership towards what we know that tomorrow beholds for everybody. That said, I pray and I hope that I can find audience with the MD of the Benue State Digital Infrastructure Company with you, and then we could see how we could start off with Benue and push out to other states.
It was worth it after all, wasn't it?
That is all the time we have right now. We are going to have a second part of the presentation, and we'll have some time for some more Q&A. So please hold those questions. In the meantime, we'll take a short break and plan to start back at 5:40. So just a few minutes to give people some time to adjust, and we'll be back. Thank you.
this not for sale?
No, it's not. I'm coming. I'll get you.
which will be followed by a short Q&A. Andrew is going to share and answer some of the questions in the room already about AI and share a little bit more on the concept of digital twins. And so it's an exciting next part of the conversation. Andrew.
Welcome back. I see a few empty seats. Thank you. I'll give us another 2 minutes to take our seats. Let's do that quickly, please. Whilst we're getting settled, media guys, can you put me on the second presentation? Thank you. Okay. What do we have here? Digital twins. Can you see that? Cloud, big data, IoT, and AI in action. Now, digital twins is should I say, it's a technology that unifies all of this, okay? Now, before I go into digital twins, let's see if we can go through what the cloud itself, what it means. Big data, IoT. We've talked about AI, so I wouldn't dwell too much on that. I put some questions down here, but I think we've touched up on it. If we go to the next slide, please. You know, so this is fact, okay? So current AI, and that's LLMs. Don't worry about that. DeepSeek or ChatGPT are examples of artificial narrow intelligence. They're exceptionally good at specific tasks, you know, particularly pattern recognition. That's all it does. But as AI, it doesn't understand reason or have consciousness. It's not sophisticated, you know, to that point. It's created by humans, okay? So it's not in itself able to do things that are innate to humanity. All right, let's move on quickly. We've discussed that in the Q&A. Cloud technology is where it all begins. The journey of AI and the future of technology starts from the cloud. If we move forward, one more. Keep going. The next one. Yeah. Now, cloud computing, okay, and this is knowledge, okay. If I were to, in my example where I said, think about AI as that box that holds all knowledge from the beginning of time. You know about memory, hard disk, and all of that. How much hard disk space do you think will be required or is enough to encapsulate everything that has ever been known or made? Yeah? What do you think that size of a hard disk is? If we were to build a hard disk to store all your pictures that you have on iCloud, all the music that you stream from Spotify, all the movies that you watch on Netflix, all the comments, likes, and posts that you see on Instagram with all the millions of people that use the application. What do you think the size of the computer that processes all of that? What would that look like? You would need a whole country. You would need a whole country okay, and that's what the cloud is, yeah? So it's on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet, yeah? So that you're here in Nigeria, you can share a picture on Instagram, and everybody in the world has access to that content that you post on Instagram. Now, the content you post on Instagram is not stored on your device, otherwise it would not be, you know, on Instagram. It's stored somewhere in Meta's data center, and from there, it populates the app that you use. And that's how everybody's content is stored and delivered. Okay? Now, instead of owning and maintaining physical data centers and server, you can now access services like computer, storage, database on an as needed basis. What does this mean? Okay? One of my team is here, a developer. When he started, I said, there will be no need for me to ship you a laptop. You can use yours. But I'm going to create you a virtual desktop where you will do your work on, store all the codes and everything that's company related. So I didn't need the physical device. I created it on the cloud. And you're able to specify how much hard disk you want on that virtual machine, how much RAM you want on that virtual machine, the type of internet connectivity you want, your firewall rules, who can have access and who can't have access. You can specify that in a few clicks, and that computer will be created. Now, how powerful, how can I build a computer that has, you know, if you were going to buy a computer that has a capacity to do everything you would like, what will the hard disk space be like? Maybe 1 terabyte can hold a lot of videos if you're a video cinematographer. Now the cloud, as of today, can store 200, I'll put the statistics up later, about 250 billion DVDs. That's just how powerful it is. And now, it's not situated in one country, otherwise you would need a continent, right? It's distributed. So a company like Microsoft would have data centers in various countries all over the world. I don't know that there's one yet in Nigeria, but there are 2 data centers built by Microsoft in South Africa. Now, Those data centers have computers, okay, and they layer them, think about the stadium, and everything in that stadium is all servers stacked up from the ground, to the roof, and line arrayed across with air conditioning to cool it down, because these things get very hot. Air conditioning to cool it down, and you have all these servers arrayed so that an end user like myself can, with the interface, create what I need for 5 minutes. So I can provision a computing resource on the cloud and use it for an hour, and I can delete it and it ceases to exist. I don't have to physically, because of 1 year's worth of contract, go and buy a laptop that will be with me forever. I can do that virtually. And that's what cloud computing is. Now, how does that relate to AI or even digital twins? It means that the amount of capacity I need to drive AI now does not have to be in my bedroom. Okay, otherwise I would not be able to cope with any of this stuff. Let's move forward. So this is just knowledge, and I'll go through it quickly. So the cloud is on-demand service, like I said. You pay for what you need when you need it. It goes out of scope when you cease to need it. You can access your virtual resources from tablets, laptops, phones, or even devices, and that's where the Internet of Things come in. So if I want to build a simulation of myself, I would need some type of, sensors, Fitbit, heart rate sensor, blood pressure sensor, all of that. Now, those devices become Internet of Things because they have the capacity to transmit data over the Internet. It's elastic. The cloud is elastic because of how much of these data centers we have everywhere in the world. If you run a digital marketplace, you start with 500 people today. You don't need the entire power of the cloud. But as your customer base increase on your digital marketplace, you go from 500, let's say, to 1 million. These are now 1 million people creating profiles, doing transactions online. The cloud can scale in its compute capacity as the need increases, and it can scale back down as the need reduces, and it can be done automatically, So that's that. Let's move on to the next.
What is a data center? A data center houses rows of computers and equipment for storing, processing, and transmitting data. They typically have few windows and extra security, including cameras and sometimes biometric.
That powers the cloud. This is in real life. This is what it looks like. And I think, not sure where this is located, but go for it. Let's just watch it. 2 to 3 minutes.
What is a data center? A data center houses rows of computers and equipment for storing, processing, and transmitting data. They typically have few windows and extra security, including cameras and sometimes biometric screening. The computers need a lot of electricity to operate. The same amount of electricity as it takes to power 400,000 electric cars. Tech companies are increasingly using their data centers to train and operate artificial intelligence systems. Training an AI. What is a data center? A data center houses rows of computers and equipment for storing, processing, and transmitting data. They typically have few windows and extra security, including cameras and sometimes biometric screening. The computers need a lot of electricity to operate and to keep the equipment from overheating. That also requires more electricity and huge amounts of water for elaborate air conditioning. The International Energy Agency says one large data center uses the same amount of electricity as it takes to power 400,000 electric cars. Tech companies are increasingly using their data centers to train and operate artificial intelligence systems. Training an AI model to learn from huge amounts of data requires additional computing power. Conventional data center services run on processors known as CPUs. AI relies on graphics processing units, or GPUs. The IEA estimates that asking OpenAI's ChatGPT to compose an answer requires nearly 10 times as much electricity as a traditional Google search. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google have all announced plans to tap into nuclear energy to help power their US data centers. They've also helped finance new wind and solar farms and other alternative energy sources. In the near term, however, most data centers are still heavily reliant on the surrounding electricity grid, which is largely powered by burning fossil fuels, the primary cause of global warming. This is making it harder for some countries and tech companies to keep their promises to address climate change.
To what it looks like in the internal working. So that's essentially what powers your Instagrams, your iCloud, your Netflix, ChatGPT even, you know. So the cloud is a virtualization of very near unlimited compute capacity, almost unlimited, not there yet. The cloud virtualizes a massive globally distributed pool of compute capacity, offering users the experience of near limited elasticity and demand access. In essence, that data center you see there is one of many, you know, and a collection of all of that many is what's making AI possible. It's what's making ChatGPT possible. It's what's making Instagrams, Facebook, TikTok, and all of these guys possible. Let's keep going.
A data center is the brains of the internet.
The engine of the internet.
It is a giant building with a lot of power, a lot of cooling, and a lot of computers.
It's row upon row upon row of machines, all working together to provide the services that make Google function.
I love building and operating data centers. I'm Joe Cava, Vice President of Data Centers at Google. I'm responsible for managing the teams globally that design, build, and operate Google's data centers. We're also responsible for the environmental health and safety, sustainability, and carbon offsets for our data centers.
That I knew what that was. So I had to go further, to bring it down to normal human language to understand. That's equivalent to 250 billion DVDs if we were going to store. They've cleared nearly a village to build one data center that's going to take AI to another level. And the reason they're doing it is there are two generative AI companies. DeepSeek is one of them. ChatGPT is another. We now have Google, Gemini. A few of them are coming out. But the reason why OpenAI is going to invest 500 billion, that's what they announced, and the field, I wish I could show you that video. The amount of land that has been cleared to put $5 billion worth of technology on. The reason they're doing it is when they created OpenAI, everyone liked it, accepted it, and now uses it almost every day, which means we are creating even more data. Okay? Now, if investment is not created, and this is also national security, and I would explain what I mean by that. America has 350 million. Autonomous devices, are made possible because of on-demand delivery of infrastructure. So a drone mid-air, runs out of compute capacity. It doesn't have to fly down. A new virtual computer is created automatically when one fails, so that that drone can carry on doing its job. So when OpenAI says they're going to invest $500 billion to build a new data center on top of what they already have, that's because they are expecting that the demand will skyrocket. And America does not want to be in a place where they cannot compete technologically. And this is what's going to determine what country will be able to compete in the future. The ones that can make the best and the fastest processors are the ones that will compete for the future. There are only two of them, America and China. But we'll get there. And I laughed. Okay, so that's where we are today, and it's growing. The cloud also can deliver compute at scale, like I said. It makes machine learning possible. All of the predictive analytics, ChatGPT, being able to almost, you ask a question, it would go and churn vast amounts of data and create near human-like response. That's compute power, electricity consumed to give you an answer back from ChatGPT. And with compute at scale, we can do a lot more predictive analysis, flood prevention, flood prediction, and hopefully flood prevention. We can power robots, driverless cars, if there are any here. There are now plenty of them elsewhere. Autonomous devices, semi-autonomous devices, generative AI, your ChatGPT and the like. All of these technologies made possible because we now have the cloud. Now, this comes to life more, like I said, when we now have something like digital twins. So let's see how many slides we've got there. This is not going to take time. Okay, this is my personal opinion. I think AI will deliver a complete human simulation. And this concept is far beyond simple robotics, but it comes into the realms of simulating biological, so if you've got a Fitbit on, you can actually ask ChatGPT or the likes, what are my chances of XYZ? And it would analyze your internal organs, your diet and everything, and give you a healthcare plan, almost, eradicating the need for doctors. But I didn't say that. Like I said, positive thinking would not do the surgery. Okay, so at this point, let's just, if the video will play, yeah? So that we don't waste people's time.
A data center's the brains of the internet.
The engine of the internet.
It is a giant building with a lot of power, a lot of cooling, and a lot of computers.
It's row upon row of machines, all working together to provide the services that make Google function.
I love building and operating data centers. I'm Joe Cava, Vice President.
Hi and welcome to our channel. Today we want to touch upon a very exciting topic, digital twins in healthcare. This revolutionary technology has massive potential to improve diagnosis and treatment processes. Let's dive right into the topic. So, what is a digital twin? Digital twins are very Hi and welcome to our channel. Today we want to touch upon a very exciting topic, digital twins in healthcare. This revolutionary technology has massive potential to improve diagnosis and treatment processes. Hi and welcome to our channel. Today we want to touch upon a very exciting topic, digital twins in healthcare. This revolutionary technology has massive potential to improve diagnosis and treatment processes. Let's dive right into the topic. So, what is a digital twin? Digital twins are very accurate virtual models of real-life entities. They allow thorough investigation of the processes and qualities of the original object and experimentation with it. Digital twins can represent a range of different things, such as systems, machinery, buildings, and even human bodies. They are created with the help of data analytics and require technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things. It is expected that the global market for medical digital twins will reach $3.5 billion by 2030. But how exactly do they improve the medical industry? Let's discuss 6 most promising applications. The first use case is advanced development of medication. It can be achieved by creating digital twins of human organs and body systems. For example, specialists can create a digital twin of a post-stroke brain, showing the same characteristics and complications a real traumatized brain would have. With such an interactive model, researchers will be able to try different substances, mixes of chemicals, and dosages to determine what combination is most beneficial. It will allow sorting out the wrong formulas before launching actual test samples, making the process more precise and less cost and time-intensive. The next benefit is highly personalized treatment plans. With a patient's digital twin based on their medical data, doctors can have a real-life model of organ's condition and see how this or that treatment and medicine affect them. It will help to instantly detect if the therapy doesn't work and change the treatment. Digital twins of organs or whole bodies can also be used to better understand how different diseases progress. Specialists can create a dynamic model of a disease life cycle in a patient's body to trace what factors and conditions lead to its aggravation and see how the disease can affect other body parts and systems. As a result, doctors will see the whole picture and know exactly what to do to prevent the condition from worsening. Moving next, medical equipment and machinery can also have digital twins. This way, specialists can build virtual prototypes of separate parts or the whole device to see in detail how exactly each component functions. Then it is possible to conduct all kinds of testing to evaluate how the mechanism or device will work under various conditions, such as network overload, power cut, hacking attempts, and so on. Consequently, digital twins allow for production of safe and effective medical equipment with no need to spend money and time on building different versions of physical prototypes. Overall, the whole healthcare facility can reap huge benefits if it has a digital twin. Let's take a hospital, for example. It is a complex system which requires smooth and precise functioning of all the departments to ensure timely care delivery. A virtual model of the entire building can allow real-time monitoring of all vital processes, including medication supply, equipment power level, current availability of specialists and wards, and more. As a result, hospital staff get informative hints on what improvements can be made to enhance the workflow. In addition, digital twins can give valuable insights of building restructuring and improvement. They will allow medical organizations to look at different alteration options, evaluate their feasibility by running different realistic scenarios, and choose the best variant. All this without initiating the full-scale rearrangements and overly disturbing medical staff and patients. Digital twins also streamline the process of building new facilities by allowing interactive testing of construction solutions before the actual work begins. This was an overview of 6 mind-blowing applications of digital twins in medicine. Which one impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We are constantly on the watch for new exciting technologies and their use cases across different industries to share with you, so don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next episode.
about Olympics '96 and the golden goal of Kanu Nwankwo. We had one of the team in that football team from the national, what do we call it now? Super Eagles. In the person of Austin Eguavo. He was here, he just left. But we recognize him. With that, we've got very important people here, and like Lawrence said, we're here to feel free to talk to us. This is who we are. Thank you very much. I'll call on.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Thank you, everyone. Can we just get one more big round of applause for Andrew? Really is about. Thank you for sharing all that you did around cloud computing and what it takes to manage AI systems. And my question is, you mentioned a lot of the infrastructural needs that are important in having a system that functions. And when we bring the conversation back to Nigeria, a country that struggles with that's coming our way, what would you say?
Yeah. So I will equate data security, because all of this is made possible because we can capture data and make data work. Now, I would equate data security with national security, because if you don't control, if you don't have the technology to manage your own data, you will now be forced, because your systems, your on-premises servers cannot compete with 250 billion DVD capacity. Not one system in the whole of Africa will be able to compete. What that means is you can only grow as far as your infrastructure would allow you grow. Today, it's not so much of a problem, because when you turn on your laptop and you go on your banking app, it's still working. But countries are going to space. Next direction is all of these data centers will no longer be built on this planet, because there aren't resources. It's going to consume fuel, and it would compete for what humanity also needs. So they're going to move all of this into space and transmit, the connectivity back here. Now, I think that government should really, if you take data as important as you take security, and you should, because this is where cybersecurity participation with private sector to deliver this. Thank you.
I'm going to open up the conversation for questions. We have one back there, the gentleman in the blue, and there's a gentleman in a gray sweater back there. We'll start over there.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chetam. I am a cybersecurity enthusiast and also a practicing network analyst and digital forensics analyst. So, thank you. My question for you is, what unique technical advantage do you have that protects you from being crushed by larger and well-funded companies like Google, Amazon, and the likes? That's my first question. And secondly, as more people use your AI, how will you keep it fast, reliable, and accurate without cost exploding and also quality dropping? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Test, yeah. Okay, so that's a challenge, by the way, and I accept it. Thank you very much. What would I do differently that Amazon, Google, and Microsoft hasn't done? But let's ask the question again. What really is Google doing differently, or Microsoft doing differently, than individuals like yourself or myself haven't done? Before it becomes a cooperation, it's an idea. Yeah? And it's the individual creative enough. Yeah? So before cloud technology started, some university kids were building data compression technology. Yeah, so where we can compress 4 GB DVD into almost one byte and re-extract that data back into its form when it's landed where it needs to go. All of these pockets of technologies is what the enterprise has brought together to create Microsoft. Now, even with Microsoft, where I work, the team that I work with, just to give you insight, we're working on a technology that can predict when an attack is going to happen. Yeah, so we're not waiting for the attack to happen and we start to panic. No, we look at patterns and we can succinctly predict when and where, from what network traffic it's coming from, and we can protect the banking system against that hack. Now, we're working in partnership with some of these big names. When the technology is perfected, everyone will own their patent and royalty, whatever. But then an enterprise will own that technology and now make it available in the public. What we know, what we use for data transformation and data processing started in companies like Netflix, Spotify, and these guys go in there, they go and see what people have built internally. If it's very good and they know it would sell, they go learn the technology or even work with them and invest in that technology, perfect the technology and make it a sellable product. Now, what are we going to do differently? We're going to use existing technology to create new value. Okay? That new value now adds to technology that forms the bigger picture again. So a bigger enterprise, seeing what we're doing with AI and predictive analytics, will come because we have unique problems here in Nigeria. Okay? Our landscape is different. If we can provide solutions for our own internal problems with technology that hasn't been solved anywhere else, that now adds and creates value to technology, and that's what we're going to do differently.
Any other questions?
Hello, good evening. I've been enlightened a whole lot by this summit and all. So I have a question. Now, you talked about what Andoria has planned for the next 2 years coming up. Now, I'm asking, what's the long play? Would we see Andoria go NVIDIA mode? Would we see you go big tech? Thank you.
Okay, so I like the young people here. They're really putting fire on my feet. You know, which is good, you know. So, Andoria AI, he was listening. All I said was 2 years plan. Okay, but what comes next after 2 years? And that's a very, very important question. So what I see for the next 2 years is, one, we need people that are skilled. Okay. If I can create a workforce of people that are skilled, my target for 2 years is about 50. In 2 years' time, we're also going to build 2 digital products that's going to bring all of these technologies to use within 2 years. What happens from then is we can now, Andoria AI 1 can be a premier partner for any global organization that has a skills gap and needs a short-term, 1 year, 2 years supply of workforce to cover. That's one thing that we want to do. The second is here in this region, there isn't so much investment in R&D, and without R&D, what really can you create that's new if you haven't sat down to really research it? Yeah. So I want to deepen that quest for knowledge and, put the company at a place where we can conduct R&D, like Lauren said, on behalf of government. Okay, so flood prevention, for example, we've got the technology. I was saying to a gentleman before we started, in 2 years, I want to be able to predict general election, because that's what everybody understands. You can relate to a general election when the result is announced. Now imagine an algorithm that would compute everybody's opinions. Yeah, I will do some election simulation. And 2 weeks before, we can say by our analysis, this is who we think would win in this state, who would win in this local government. And the results come out with everything that happens in between. And we're on the money, nearly, let me say 60 to 70% of all positions. Let's say we are 70% on the money. Yeah, that is, we predict right. You know what that means? That says a lot, of our capability. Now he asked me, how are you going to build it? I said, we have the models. Yeah, we have the technology that can predict. Yeah, we just need real data. Okay, we just need everyone here to contribute their thoughts and their opinions on the app. We already have the model built. When we put real data in that model, you would see beautiful things come out of it. Okay, now when we can do that, we're now positioned to take on things like flood prevention, disease prevention, and the technology is there. One would open the door for the other, and we would not stop. It would just keep going. And because Nigeria or the whole of Africa is unique, our problems are not the same problems in the West. Technology has been built with the West in mind. It's like the internet now is almost built for Google Chrome. So there are some websites you use on Firefox or Safari. You don't get the same performance as you would get on Google Chrome. So that's what technology is like. It's almost built with one region in mind. We are now going to take technology as it is and create value within our context, and that adds. So we're not stopping, we're going further.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, mine is actually not a question. I think it's a contribution. I have some youth there, sorry. Yeah. Please, can they come out? The 8 of them. Yeah, they're looking at me. The young people right in there. Behind you. Yes, all of you, please, can you just come out? On that row, please, can you come out? Do you know why I'm doing this? While you were, doing your presentation, I saw these kids passionately writing down, what you were doing, and they caught my attention. There's still 3 of them sitting. Those boys, please, can you come out? Please, can you come this way? Don't be shy. Mr. Andrew has new candidate. Oh, I love that. Please come out. Okay, why am I doing this evening?
So 1 second.
Okay.
I think the future is bright.
Thank you. Please come out.
If we have, kids come out for events like this, I think the future is bright.
Yeah. So don't be shy. I want you to be bold. Why am I doing this evening? I was formerly in a Nigerian university, and I found out that the curriculum was not up to the standard of the curriculum of the world. And I enrolled in another university from Nigeria here, but you go outside the country too. And in our class, we had about 7 Indian boys. They were this age. In my class, university. 10 years. How old are you? 17. Okay. How old are you? How old are you? 13. How old are you? 16. How old are you? 11. How old are you? In fact, this is my favorite. 9. How old are you? 9. How old are you? And do you know what the Indians did? They came up with a plan for 50 years and began to groom people that are ruling the world today. So if we want to help Andoria or partner with Andoria, and do you know what? When I finished my degree, I realized that someone like Tony Numelu sends people to come and recruit from that school. Jimovia sent people to come and recruit from that school. They don't go to our universities to recruit. And I challenged the Vice Chancellor of Middlesex University in London. I said, why is it that you partner with this in Nigeria? You don't want to partner with our universities. He said, NASA, we cannot partner with your universities because we don't believe in your system. It was an insult to me. And as young as I was, I went back to my dad and I told him, he said, Joe, this one I said something needs to be done. He said, okay, if you want something to put it in writing and send it to your governor. Why am I saying this? I moved my ticket just to attend this event. And I'm glad I did, because these are the generations that whatever Andoria has to teach or to inculcate, these are the people that will take it forward. A lot of us here, we are too busy with life. And I want to say, Andoria, please, we will need to open an institution in Nigeria. That's my vision, where people can go to learn. Because most of these things are not learned in university. They are not. And somebody asked a question that, what will you do differently that Google has not? Bros, the information Google has, you don't have it as a country. Even Nigeria as a country does not have a data on its own. Even the government, do you know that these kids can provide solution to the security challenge in Nigeria? Where they can create drones, they can create codes that will dictate and kill those people terrorizing Nigeria. They can create solutions. So these are the people that needs to take us to where we ought to be. What I know today as a software engineer, you can bring, I think the only people that can compete are people that went maybe to a private university. But how many people can afford private universities? So if government wants to partner with Andoria or do things, please, let's open institutions, hubs that will teach these kids the way forward. We need to change our curriculum. All the VCs in this country needs to be put in a room like this and command them to change their curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was an important, and I think an important addition to the conversation, very much needed, and exactly what we needed to bring home this big discussion about technology. We're going to wrap, but before we do, Andrew, I want to give you the last word. And sure. Yes, ma'am, in the purple? Yes. Can we take one more question?
Good evening, everyone. And to Mr. Andrew, good evening. Thank you for your presentation. Please, I want to ask, in fact, my question is even connected to what she said, but it's the other way around. What I and my husband always do is any of this, we push our children into it because we feel that, you know, their brain is still sharp and we call them the computer children, a bit computer age. But I want to ask, could age, maybe your area of specialization or discipline, could it be stand as a barrier or a limitation to acquiring some of these skills you mentioned? Why I'm asking this, I'm a civil servant, and over time, for a few years now, we've been trying to move from, should I say, analog to digital, without paper, going paperless. And we introduced the federal government introduced a system of PMS, performance management system. But what I noticed is that, you know, some that are of age, let's say from 50s, you keep teaching and teaching, it's not flowing at all. In fact, some of them are oppressing it, and they will tell you, this thing won't work. It will not work. It's not going anywhere. You know, and for years we've been doing this training. Each time you do it, it's like you are You are pouring water on a stone. It's not sinking at all. So that's my question. Age, your area of specialization, could it, because what you are saying, a lot of us, we are driven. We want to get, some of this knowledge. And it, not just our children alone, because it could also still help us in our various areas of life and sectors. Thank you.
I think your answer is in a comment I made earlier. Can you dedicate the time to actually learn and create value? It's not about the age, And if you can't dedicate the time, it wouldn't happen by accident. Yeah. It wouldn't happen by accident. I think, but it's possible. At any time you realize yourself, you can pick it up from that point. I put up 4 hours a week, 50 weeks. You could do 2 hours a week, and learn at your own pace and give yourself 4 years. Now, it may not be knowledge that you would now use to get a new job. You could. I've seen people pick up IT jobs at the age of 40, and all they've done before is maybe cleaning or some things that are not related. But just because of the interest and the amount of time they've dedicated, it's very possible. It just depends on how willing and interested the individual is. I think that's all we can take.
That is all the time we have. I do see 4 questions in the crowd, and so point of privilege, I will ask our founder director if it is okay to take those, or we are aiming to be wrapped up in the next 10 minutes. Okay. So we're going to start with the gentleman right there. The second person on this list is the gentleman right here. The third is right here. Yes, please, sir.
Hallelujah. I want to thank you, Brother Andrew. I want to appreciate God for you and your team for the sacrifice you've made to bring this to Nigeria. This is a great beginning. My spirit bought into this with Koinonia, which you know. And we decided to join you last year to see how this will work out. And the 3 of us, you may not know, this is the General Secretary of Koinonia, and this is and that is Apostle Sani Joseph. And this is Reverend Maina. So he is the one that was in charge of mobilizing Abuja for this program. So I happen to be the planning committee of the program that took place last Saturday that we had last year, where you were the guest. And you promised us this, and truly we see it, that you've delivered it. God bless you. I want to say, please don't dismiss this crowd like this. This is a team. And I want you to tie them into a training group. See, I saw that Nigeria has not begun preparing our children for the future. I happen to be a trained teacher. When we're doing curriculum, I discovered that Nigeria has been left behind centuries past because of the kind of curriculum we are running. And I knew about India, that India has been number 1. My own rating, I didn't know it is the global level. So I want to plead with you what we have begun here today agreed with my spirit, my dream. And that is why we decided to help our children. Many, you know, are purely unemployable as far as global employment is concerned, which you confirm. And if you didn't know, what you are doing is just that you are an instrument used in a time like this to help Nigeria. There are other people that are running, but imagine we came here. This is done free. I have a young man that is running this, and he charges money. And I want you to please take it very serious. That is they are founding members of the Andoria in Nigeria. Let everyone here, including us, we are not too old to learn. Yes, we are ready to learn. I just want you to know that we are not feeling anything other than students. We are students here. We are really your fathers, yes, but forget about our age. We are here to learn. We are students. Don't leave this group like this. Get it to form a team. That's my request. And this is the beginning. They are not aware that we are having another one, some of them, on the 20th. That is Saturday. And the time is 9. Are you in agreement with the 9? Then the time is 9 a.m. We are not going to be here at Gospel Light Redemption Church, Area 1. So, as we are here now, Andrew, we are limited by space here. But that place, please, you can bring one person, you are free to bring up to 20 persons. We have enough, it can take up to 1,000 members. So please, come there 9 a.m. on Saturday. The Lord bless you.
Before we go on to the last two people, I just want to say that it is so important that we hear from people in the room, which is why we changed the original plan of limiting it to 2-3 questions. To the two gentlemen who have asked, I ask and I plead with you that you hold your questions for Andrew once we're done. He'll be available to mix and mingle and answer questions. So we're just going to take the question from the gentleman in the yellow and blue print, and then right here in the front, and then I'll turn it over to Andrew to say a word.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I really want to say thank you again. Actually, my questions has been answered, but I wanted to also use this opportunity to say something to you. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to enter into a classroom, and Dr. Miss Desla is the AU woman in charge of interlocking and opening space in business economics in AI in Africa. Now, why am I saying this? I studied in India. I read accounting and auditing, and I graduated as far back as 1989. Good. Hold on, 89. Yeah, that's when I graduated. But as I'm talking to you right now, I'm doing MBA. Now, while I'm studying MBA, DNO Academy in UK. My daughter is wearing our cap. Can show them. You see, now, what was my interest? My interest that this young man, when I met him, he made one statement. He said, what are being taught in our universities is not what is being taught outside. That MBA, Master in Business Administration in Nigeria, cannot fit ordinary diploma in the UK, all over the world. And I started this course today, you know, and I'm 63 now, but I'm giving 2 hours every day, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday is 6 hours. Then you do your homework, you do your pitching, You know, like when he started, he said Andoria is a startup. How many of us here know what is a startup? But for me, I knew it already. I knew where he's going. You understand? So most of the things, generative AI and all this in deep, we have already done it at age of what? That's why I'm here with my wife. I'm here with my last girl, who is doing medicine. You know, because because this is where the world is going. Yesterday I used a word and they wanted to. My daughter said, "Why are you using that?" I said to my wife, "You need to upskill so that you can upscale." When I used that word, my daughter shouted at me. She nearly said, "Why can you are degrading my mom?" I said, "No, this is a language that is very common today. If you want to upscale, you need to upskill. And the only way we can upskill is what we are doing. Please, sir, it's important. Thank you so much." That's my question has been answered. I don't want to, but don't say age. I am 63, but I'm doing professional MBA. I'm graduating next year. So you can join this new wave. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, I'm trying to respond to the gentleman that spoke about the lady that spoke about government. The truth is that we have to call the spade a spade. The reason why we'll not progress technology-wise is corruption. It's as simple as that. If you make everything online or paperless, the files will never get missing. There'll be no ways that your director or your PAMSEC or whoever will get what they're supposed to get. Now, I'm sorry I keep going back to Benue. We took a very, very bold step. As I speak, we're building tech hubs in all the 23 local governments in Benue State. As I said, we're retraining about 40,000 civil servants on computer and technology. We have built 10 platforms for carrying out government transactions. The fact is, you as individuals must hold your leaders accountable, or else the younger ones cannot move. It will not happen no matter how you look at it. They are all aware. They go to the US, they go to Dubai, they go to India, wherever. Their kids go there to study. If you look at the top 10 or top 20 of government officials, I can guarantee you maybe like 2% are in Nigeria studying. The rest are global citizens. Now they will continue to suppress you, continue to press you down until you are able to, one way or the other, identify the leadership that you have, that you can get. The leadership that we have in Benue State might not be perfect, but it was a landslide victory. Why? Because we were tired and everybody rose up. So you have to find some form. And another angle, which you're not mentioning, is the policy aspect. There needs to be, our policies are archaic. I mean, most of them are archaic. Yeah. There has to be policies, and the new tech guys or the new people that are coming in have to find ways that they can institutionalize these policies. There has to be a complete transformation. There must be strong advocacy for the things that you're bringing forth and the things that you're doing. This is fantastic. I will try as much as possible to see how I can get my government involved in it. Now, everybody here can also try from their own angles also. It will be rough because you go there before you can even get to speak to whoever is in charge. Yeah? Paper will drop, you know? And I read just yesterday about a country that have moved to online procurement, AI procurement, that you don't have to submit your paper to anyone. You go online, the AI will review it, review your status and everything, and they will move with it. Can we get there? I reckon we can. But then there'll be a lot of investment, both physical material and otherwise. Thank you very much.
I think that's a good way to bring this to a close. Now you can see why we need people skilled up, okay? Because there is the opportunity even within, you know, our environment. And just a word of encouragement to the kids, and thank you for bringing them out. I think, I can't remember what age was Warren Buffett or even Bill Gates, Warren Buffett posted a picture of himself when he was about 10 years old, yeah? Was it 15? Where he said his dad takes him to investment seminars, would even fly him to London from America just to sit and be present, to hear what's been said. And we know who Warren Buffett is. Same as Bill Gates, his mom was very influential in community. And we'll just take him to these meetings where things are said at a very young age. And we can see where they are. So those kids who've come out today, I just hope that your parents will make that a point of duty so that we will talk about you, in that way in not so long to come. Thank you very much. My name is Andrew Oriaki, and this is Andoria AI.
Well, thank you all so much for staying with us through the end of the event. We are going to be here till about 7:30. Andrew is here, and so if there are questions that you didn't get to ask, please do. Thank you again for your time, and hope everyone has a good night.